Welcome to last prep. Communication topic, part 3, effective communication. Let's begin our session. Which of the following is not a characteristic of effective communication? Clarity, conciseness, ambiguity, relevance. Here, ambiguity is not the characteristic of effective communication, and the right answer is ambiguity. Which element is essential for feedback in effective communication? Barriers and noise, responsiveness, and complexity. So here the which of responsiveness is essential for feedback in effective communication. The right answer is responsiveness. In the communication process, what does the term decoding mean? Decoding means here the given options are interpreting the sender's message, creating a message, sending feedback, interrupting communication. Here the right answer is interpreting the sender's message. That means understanding the sender's message. Which of the following best enhances effective communication in a multicultural context? Here the given options are ignoring cultural differences and stereotyping different cultures, using simple language and being respectful for cultural norms, relying solely on non-verbal cues. So here the right answer is C, using simple language and being respectful of cultural norms. Which of the following is most effective for conveying factual information? So here the given options are verbal communication, non-verbal communication, grapevine communication, informal communication. Here the right answer is for this question is verbal communication. So which is very effective for conveying any factual information. In a classroom setting, effective communication primarily depends on the effective communication primarily depends on the use of technical jargon, not the correct answer. Teachers' dominance, this is also not correct. Active listening by the students and clear expression by the teacher. This is the correct answer. And the number of visual aids used. Okay, here this is also not wrong answer. And the correct answer for this question is active listening by the student and clear expression by the teacher. Next question, which of the following is a barrier to effective communication? Eye contact, noise, feedback, and clarity. Here the right answer is noise is the one of the barrier to effective communication. And effective communication in an organization is achieved by using complex vocabulary and following hierarchical structures strictly and allowing open and clear channels of feedback and limiting interactions to formal settings. So among these options, the answer is allowing open and clear channels of feedback. Next, which is not a characteristic of effective communication? Here, empathy, active listening, excessive jargon, and feedback. Here, the right answer is excessive jargon is not a characteristic of effective communication. And next, to enhance the effectiveness of communication, which of the following is most important? To enhance effectiveness of communication, we'll see focusing only on verbal aspects, balancing verbal and non-verbal cues, ignoring non-verbal cues, using a loud tone throughout. Here the right answer is balancing verbal and non-verbal cues. Okay, here we can use expressions along with the tone of voice or speech. Which method is most effective in confirming that a message has been understood? So, given options are asking closed-ended questions, providing a lengthy explanation, requesting feedback from the receiver, repeating the message multiple times. Here the right answer is requesting feedback from the receiver. Feedback helps to understand and allow clarification. Okay, here feedback means the recipient or the receiver can able to understand the message. For effective interpersonal communication, which skill is essential? Passive listening, dominance in conversation, and active listening, constant speaking. For effective interpersonal communication, active listening is the one of the skill which is very essential. What role does clarity play in effective communication? It adds complexity to the message, wrong. It ensures that the message is understood as intended and it is correct. It reduces the importance of the feedback, no. And it enhances noise. Okay, here the right answer is it ensures that the message is understood as intended. Which factor is crucial in effective cross-cultural communication? Stereotyping the receiver, relying on idiomatic expressions, understanding cultural differences, and using technical jargon. So here, which is cross-cultural communication means here we need to understand the cultural differences of various regions. Next, which of the following enhances the effectiveness of nonverbal communication? Effectiveness of nonverbal communication, consistency with the verbal message, use of complex gestures, avoiding eye contact, excessive facial expressions. Here, the nonverbal communication includes consistency with verbal message. Which of the following is an example of nonverbal communication? Telephone conversation, eye contact, email, group discussion. Okay, among all these, nonverbal communication is eye contact. In interpersonal communication, which of the following is essential for minimizing misunderstanding? Minimizing misunderstanding or reducing the misunderstanding. Okay, stereotyping, cultural sensitivity and respect, relying on nonverbal cues alone, using idiomatic expressions. Here the right answer is cultural sensitivity and respect. What is a common barrier to effective intercultural communication? Empathy, cultural stereotypes, clarity, and feedback. So here the right answer is cultural stereotypes, which is a barrier to effective intercultural communication. Which of the following is a characteristic of group communication? It involves only two individuals. There is a single fixed role for each participant. It involves a dynamic exchange of ideas among multiple participants. It requires only non-verbal communication. And here the right answer is it involves a dynamic exchange of ideas among multiple participants. Group communication means more number of people involved in the communication process. Which form of communication is most effective for a teacher in a classroom setting to check students' understanding? Nonverbal cues like facial expressions, only delivering lectures without interaction, engaging students in questions and discussions using only hand gestures. Here the right answer is for most effective for teachers communication in a classroom is engaging students in questions and discussions. Which of the following is not a characteristic of effective classroom communication? One-way communication, clear and structured content, use of relevant examples, encouraging student participation. One-way communication is not a characteristic of effective classroom communication. So this is the right answer. In verbal communication, which of the following is essential for message to be understood effectively? Here given options are tone and clarity, only body language, avoiding feedback, complexity of language. Here the right answer is tone and clarity is the correct answer. Which of the following best describes non-verbal communication? It involves only written words. No, it relies on body language, facial expressions, and gestures. Maybe right. It is less impactful than verbal communication. No, it cannot convey emotions. This is also no. Okay, here the right answer is it relies on body language, facial expressions, and gestures. What role does eye contact play in effective classroom communication? Eye contact. It creates discomfort among the students. No, it establishes communication and maintains students' attention. Maybe right. It is irrelevant in a learning environment. Wrong. It indicates disinterest. This is also wrong. Okay, here the right answer is it establishes connection and maintains students' attention. Which of the following is essential in intercultural communication to avoid misunderstanding? Speaking loudly, using technical jargon, understanding cultural context and norms, relying solely on verbal communication. Okay, here the right answer is understanding cultural context and norms. In group communication, what is role of facilitator? To dominate the discussion, to ensure that only their opinions are heard, to guide the discussion and encourage balanced participation. To summarize the discussion without allowing feedback. Here the right answer for group communication is to guide the discussion and encourage balanced participation. Which of the following is a primary advantage of using non-verbal communication in the classroom? Here the primary advantage of using non-verbal communication. It distracts the students? No. It conveys complex instructions? No. It enhances understanding through gestures and facial expressions? Maybe right. It is always preferred over verbal communication. This is also wrong. Here the right answer is it enhances understanding through gestures and facial expressions. Which type of communication is typically used when interacting with a small group to reach a common decision? Mass communication, interpersonal communication, group communication, intrapersonal communication. Here the right answer is group communication. What is a significant barrier to intercultural communication? Empathy, clear articulation, ethnocentrism, active listening. Here, the one of the barrier of intercultural communication is ethnocentrism. Which form of communication is most effective for building rapport between a teacher and students? Rapport between a teacher and students. Formal one-way communication, non-verbal cues alone, interactive two-way communication, only written communication. Here the right answer is option C, interactive two-way communication. In group communication, which of the following is essential for achieving a shared object? Achieving a shared objective. Options are limited participation, encouragement of individual input and collaboration, dominance of one person's views, and lack of feedback. Here the right answer is encouragement of individual input and collaboration. Which of the following is a primary characteristic of group communication? It involves single participant? No. It requires passive listening? No. It includes a dynamic exchange of ideas among multiple participants. It limits feedback to only the leader of the group. No. Here the right answer is option C. It includes a dynamic exchange of ideas among multiple participants. In a group communication setting, what is essential to reach a common understanding or decision? Only one person should speak, encouragement of individual input and collaboration, strict adherence to hierarchy, avoidance of open-ended questions. Here the right answer is encouragement of individual input and collaboration. In a group discussion, which behavior is most likely to improve quality of interaction? Interrupting frequently to share opinions, listening actively and providing relevant feedback, remaining passive and silent, ignoring others' contributions. Here, the right answer is option B, listening actively and providing relevant feedback. In classroom communication, the most effective way for a teacher to verify students' understanding is by asking questions and encouraging discussions, using complex jargon, providing lengthy lectures without interaction, rely solely on nonverbal communication. Here the right answer is in a classroom, the teacher must have to ask questions and encouraging the discussion. So the correct answer is option A. Which of the following is not an element of effective classroom communication? Encouraging student participation, it is an element of effective classroom communication. Using clear and structured content, engaging in one-way communication, and providing relevant examples. So here, with except the option C, all the three are the elements of effective classroom communication. Okay, here engaging in one-way communication is not a element of effective classroom communication. So the answer is option C. Eye contact in classroom communication is important because it creates discomfort among students, it establishes connections and maintains student attention, it shows disinterest from the teacher, it is relevant to student engagement. Here the right answer is option B. It establishes connection and maintains students' attention. In an effective classroom communication setting, which of the following is most crucial for establishing rapport with students? One-way communication only, interactive two-way communication, formal tone without feedback, only written communication. Here the right answer is option B, interactive two-way communication. It teaches use of non-verbal cues such as gestures and facial expressions in a classroom setting. Create distractions for students, helps reinforce verbal message and enhance understanding, is always less effective than verbal cues, should be avoided for better clarity. Here the right answer is helps reinforce verbal message and enhance understanding. What is the primary purpose of feedback in classroom communication? To maintain classroom hierarchy, to confirm the understanding concepts taught, to allow only teacher to express opinions, to reduce student participation. Here the right answer is to confirm the understanding of concepts taught. Thank you. We'll see more in next video. Thank you.